All of us are on different levels of faith, different levels of spiritual growth. Of course, the ideal is to arrive at the faith of Abraham. But this will take time. Faith, like trust in a person, grows over time. Faith does not happen overnight. Faith has to be mature through trials, through testing, through mistakes. Just as in any relationship. In all relationships, we need purification so that we can truly love the person unconditionally. We can imagine how much Abraham was tested. He was not only tested by God to sacrifice his only son, but he was tested by Isaac. Because Isaac said to the father, "Look," he said, "here the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Again, so beautifully, Abraham answered, "My son, God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering." Until at this point of time, Abraham was still not clear how this would take place. But at least he could say, the Lord will provide. How was he going to provide? That he didn't know. In faith, he trusted in God's command. In faith, he went to Mount Moriah. He never doubted that somehow God will provide and will put all things right. We are told that when they arrived at the mountain, he told the servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there. We will worship and come back to you." Which means to say, actually, Abraham got this intuitive faith that Isaac will survive. How? He didn't know. And so the time came, and he was about to sacrifice Isaac, and the angel of the Lord stopped him and said, "Do not raise your hand against the boy, for I know now you fear God." And God provided him a ram to be sacrificed in place of Isaac. It was a real test of faith. Somehow, he knew God will provide. And that is the kind of faith we are called to have. Because many times in our life, we are not able to see what is ahead of us. Many times in our life, we feel very lost. We feel hopeless. And we are afraid. How will God provide for my family, for my children, for my illness? What will happen to me? What will happen to my children? We think very far, but God will provide. In fact, God has been providing us all these years in our lives. If you look at your life, God has provided. Of course, He doesn't provide everybody with great wealth, but He makes sure that we will have sufficient for us to live a meaningful and joyful life. And so today, we are called to imitate Abraham in this faith, to surrender ourselves to God. And God ultimately provided His only son. Isaac was a prefigurement, foreshadowing the death of his only son. It is his son's death that will save us. That is why St. Augustine said, God did not sacrifice Isaac, Abraham's only son. Instead, his own son he sacrificed. Truly, that is a generosity of God. And of course, there are some people say, how could God ask Abraham to sacrifice his son? Of course, in those days, the Canaanite religion sacrificed children to their gods. And so, authors say this incident was actually a rebuke by God Himself that He does not need any human sacrifice to save us. All He needs is faith in His love and mercy.